Thank you. We said we'd close around 11:30 and take one or two other questions or comments. Here.
Once again, I'm Joe Krause, a PhD student doing research on Equatorial Guinea and specifically corporate social responsibility. I'm just curious, and I've actually been to the country twice in the last year and a half, and spoken with civil society groups, spoken with people in the government, spoken with NGOs, the oil companies that are there, and also people from the European Social Development Fund, the Social Fund. And my sense, from speaking to all those different groups, is that, as it has been pointed out here, civil society groups, there aren't very many independent ones, and the ones that are independent are really, really small for lack of resources, and also lack of experience. And my sense from talking to people, and I've had one or two people actually just flat out tell me this, is they are really skeptical that the country will be able to meet EIT validation on the current schedule. And so I was just curious if anybody here who has better information has any sense of whether or not the country is on pace to meet validation by next year.
I sort of hit it and tried to address that earlier. My sense, and I haven't looked at it for several months, but I've discussed this with Publish What You Pay Coalition colleagues who, together with the Revenue Watch Institute, have undertaken a couple of missions to PG over the last year. And one of these individuals in particular, Carlos Monge of Peru, was particularly useful, having been on the EITI board, being a Spanish speaker. The sense is that on the one hand, there is some progress that has been made on meeting the technical requirements for EITI validation, but more needs to be done. On the other hand, there's tremendous skepticism as to whether the so-called civil society participants in what's meant to be a multi-stakeholder process are indeed independent, credible, and capable in any way. So for that reason, there's a lot of skepticism. But look, the EITI board will make a decision, an informed decision, I'm sure, next March. And it's not my place to prejudge that decision. But I would say that generally there's a lot of skepticism for those reasons.
I mean, I think the World Bank is there this week to just start signing the MOU with the government, and I don't know what the timeline on that is, but I mean, if this week is the starting point and next year is the deadline, we'll see what they come up.
We really need to get up to speed on this because that's kind of a long view on it. They are there this week. They're there this term to sign a terms of reference, which is way farther into the process than what you just indicated it has to be. So yes, we do have a short amount of time left.
I'm just reflecting what the World Bank staffer told me when I talked to him right before he went to Equatorial.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're in pretty much daily or weekly contact with these people because we do provide resource for them. So again, I think it's still to be determined whether it's going to happen or not. But the fact of the matter is that there is substantial work going on the ground. With all due respect to Bennett's comments, yes, we have, there are different elements of this process, but there are things going on.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I just had a comment. I'm Harika Masood from the International Budget Partnership, and I work on the Open Budget Index. And the Open Budget Index is basically a budget transparency ranking for 85 countries. Equatorial Guinea was included in the survey for 2008, as Tutu mentioned, and they scored 0 on the index. So there's the lowest score is 0 and the highest is 100, and they scored 0. And I just want to clarify that the index doesn't measure whether the government has the capacity to produce certain budget documents or what have you. What the index is trying to measure is public availability of budget documents if a civil society group requests them, or if an individual requests them from the Ministry of Finance or other ministries. And unfortunately, when these documents were requested, I believe 5 out of 8 key budget documents are produced in Equatorial Guinea, and when they were requested repeatedly, they were denied because whoever requested them was not deemed fit enough to have access to them. So this is not a matter, I mean, at least in the specific context, it's not a matter of capacity. It was just lack of willingness to provide those documents to anyone outside the ministry or outside the government. And the last time I checked, Equatorial Guinea does not have a supreme audit institution. So I just felt bad when I was listening to Arvind, talking about millions of dollars that are being spent on cars and houses. And when you talk about capacity constraints, then the least that a country can do is set up a supreme audit institution. Because right now, what they have as a supreme audit institution is actually housed within the Ministry of Finance. So the Ministry of Finance is actually auditing its own revenues and own expenditures, and there is no external control and there's no external oversight whatsoever on how much money is coming in, how much is going out, where it's being spent, and what have you. So that's just one perspective I wanted to give from our side.